My name is Stella Frost. I'm 33. 3 weeks ago at 7:47 p.m., I was standing in front of 60 guests at the Whitfield holding a champagne flute when my father tapped his glass and said, "So tonight I want to toast to Stella, who finally found a man desperate enough." The room went quiet. Not the good kind of quiet, the kind where people suddenly find their shoes fascinating. Nathan's hand tightened on mine. My mother laughed. That high, brittle sound she makes when she's pretending something cruel is actually charming. "James, stop," she said, but she was smiling. My father wasn't done. He never is. "I mean it. Nathan, you're a saint. Most men wouldn't touch her with a 10-foot pole after what she did to Gerald." I felt my face go hot. 60 pairs of eyes on me. Nathan's cousins, my college friends, his boss. The photographer still had her camera up. "Dad?" I started. "Don't dad me. You know what you did." He turned to the room, playing to the crowd like he always does. "My daughter, the forensic accountant," he said it like it was a joke, "accused my business partner of fraud. Can you imagine? Gerald Marsh, the man who gave her her first job, who treated her like family. She tried to destroy him." My throat closed. I wanted to run. I wanted to scream. I did neither. Nathan stepped forward. "Mr. Frost, this isn't— It's fine," I heard myself say. My voice sounded far away. "It's fine." But it wasn't fine. Nothing had been fine for 3 years, 2 months, and 16 days. Not since the night I'd found Project Atlas. Before I go on, if stories about standing up for yourself mean something to you, please hit like and subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're watching from right now and what time is it there. Let me take you back 4 years to a Tuesday afternoon in March. I was sitting in Gerald Marsh's office at Upton and Marsh Construction LLC, reviewing quarterly reports for my certification exam. I was working toward my certified fraud examiner designation, the final credential I needed after my accounting degree with a criminal justice minor. Gerald had always encouraged it. "You've got an eye for numbers, Stella," he'd say. "Better than your old man." That should have been my first clue. The office smelled like coffee and sawdust. Gerald kept a photo of his late wife on the desk, Margaret, who'd died of cancer 6 years earlier. Next to it was a picture of my father and Gerald from 1998, arms around each other's shoulders at a job site, both of them young and grinning. "Your dad and I built this company from nothing," Gerald told me that day. He was 71, with white hair and hands scarred from decades of construction work. 26 years. We've survived recessions, housing crashes, everything. You know why? "Why?" I asked. "Because we trust each other." He tapped the photo. "That's worth more than any contract." I believed him. I had no reason not to. That night, I stayed late to finish reviewing the accounts. It was 11:32 p.m. when I noticed something odd in the wire transfer logs. A monthly payment of $6,141.67 to a company called Atlas Holdings, LLC, every month for the past 10 years. Always the same amount, always on the 15th. I pulled up the vendor files. Atlas Holdings had no employees, no physical address except a P.O. box in Delaware, no website, no history of providing any services. I called my father. He answered on the third ring, voice groggy. "Stella? It's almost midnight." "Dad, I'm looking at the books. There's a company called Atlas Holdings that's been getting payments for 10 years. Do you know what that is?" Silence. Then, "That's Gerald's company. He set it up for tax purposes." "Why isn't it disclosed in the partnership agreement?" "Stella." His voice changed. Got harder. "Don't dig into this." "I'm just asking." I said, "Don't." He hung up. I sat there staring at my phone. My father had never spoken to me like that, not once in 30 years. I pulled the last 10 years of wire transfers. $6,141.67 times 12 months times 10 years. $737,000. My hands were shaking as I traced the shell company structure. Atlas Holdings funneled money to another LLC, which deposited into a personal account. Not Gerald's account. My father's account. I didn't sleep that night. I made spreadsheets. I pulled county records. I found the lake house my parents bought 8 years ago, paid in cash, $340,000. The boat. The country club membership at $2,400 a month. My mother's Mercedes. All of it paid for with money stolen from his best friend. At 6:14 a.m., I called Gerald. "I need to show you something," I said. "It's about the company finances." We met at his office at 8 a.m. I laid out the spreadsheets, the wire transfers, the shell company structure. Gerald's face went gray. "Your father did this?" he whispered. "I'm so sorry. I know you two are—" "How long?" 10 years. Maybe longer. I can only see 10 years back in the system. Gerald sat down heavily. He looked every one of his 71 years. "Margaret died 9 years ago. The medical bills nearly bankrupted us. I took out a second mortgage, and the whole time James was—" He stopped, put his head in his hands. "We need to call the police," I said. "He's your father. He stole from you." Gerald looked at me with something like wonder. "You could have stayed quiet. Most people would have." "You've always been good to me," I said. "You deserve the truth." He reached across the desk and squeezed my hand. "You're the most honest person I've ever known, Stella. Don't let anyone tell you different." That was the last kind thing anyone said to me for 3 years. My father found out that afternoon. Gerald confronted him at 2 p.m. in the office. I wasn't there, but I heard about it from everyone. Voices through the walls. My father shouting, Gerald quiet and final. By 4 p.m., my father was fired and locked out of the company systems. By 6 p.m., my phone rang. My mother crying. "How could you do this to your father? He's your family." "Mom, he committed fraud. He provided for us, for you. Everything we have is because of his hard work, and you repaid him with betrayal." "I didn't betray. Don't call here again." She hung up. My father's version spread faster than truth ever does. By the next morning, everyone knew. Stella Frost accused her own father of fraud to get ahead at work. She was jealous of his success. She'd always been difficult, always ungrateful. Gerald Marsh was the real victim, manipulated by an ambitious daughter who wanted to take over the company. My father's a showman. He knows how to work a room. He called everyone we knew. Aunts, uncles, cousins, neighbors. "I'm devastated," he'd say. "I raised her better than this. I gave her everything and she stabbed me in the back." The thing about public humiliation is that it's efficient. You don't have to convince everyone. You just have to convince enough people, and the rest will stay quiet to avoid the mess. Within a week, I'd lost my job. Gerald had to let me go. Keeping me on looked like favoritism, like we'd conspired together. "I'm sorry," he said. "I'll give you the best reference you've ever seen." It didn't matter. Every company I applied to in our industry had heard my name. James Frost's daughter. The one who turned on her family. My savings account had $4,832.16 in it. Rent was $1,450 a month. I applied to 43 jobs in 6 weeks. I got 2 interviews. Both ended the same way. "We'll be in touch." They never were. On a Thursday morning in May, I took a job as a bookkeeper at a dental clinic for $42,000 a year. It was half what I'd been making. The office was a converted house on Hawthorne Street with peeling yellow paint and a gravel parking lot. Dr. Sarah Chen interviewed me. She was 48, matter of fact, with gray streaks in her black hair. "You're overqualified," she said. "I need a job." "Why'd you leave Upton and Marsh?" Here it was. I could lie. I could deflect. Instead, I said, "I reported fraud. The person I reported was my father. He's been telling people I made it up." Dr. Chen looked at me for a long moment. Did you make it up? No. Can you start Monday? I almost cried. Yes. Good. I hate bookkeepers who lie. Had one steal from me 6 years ago. You don't seem like the type. The work was simple. Billing, payroll, insurance claims. I kept my head down. I ate lunch at my desk. I didn't tell anyone my last name. My father called every few weeks. I never answered, but he left voicemails. Stella, this has gone far enough. Apologize to Gerald and we can fix this. Your mother's heartbroken. You're tearing this family apart. You're being selfish. You always have been. I deleted them without listening all the way through. 3 months into the job, my father showed up at the clinic. It was a Tuesday, 10:47 a.m. The waiting room had 6 patients, 2 kids, a nervous college student, a man in a suit, and 2 elderly women. Dr. Chen was with a patient. I was at the front desk processing insurance claims. The door chimed. I looked up. My father stood there in a tailored navy suit, his silver hair perfect, his smile easy. He looked like a man who'd never done anything wrong in his life. "Hi, sweetheart," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. My stomach dropped. "Dad?" I was in the neighborhood. Thought I'd take my daughter to lunch. He turned to the waiting room like they were an audience, because to him, they were. "We haven't seen her in months. She's been too busy." The college student looked uncomfortable. The man in the suit glanced between us. "I'm working," I said quietly. "Oh, come on, you can take 30 minutes. He leaned on the counter, still smiling. "How's the bookkeeping going? Quite a step down from forensic accounting, isn't it?" There it was, the cut disguised as concern. "I'm fine," I said. "Are you, though?" He tilted his head, playing the worried father. "Your mother and I are concerned. You threw away your career over some misunderstanding, and now you're, what's the term, underemployed?" One of the elderly women shifted in her seat. The kids were staring. "It wasn't a misunderstanding," I said. My voice was steady, but my hands were shaking under the desk. "You stole $737,000. He laughed. Actually laughed. "There she goes again. Stella, you need to let this go. Gerald and I settled everything. He knows it was a bookkeeping error." "It wasn't. You're embarrassing yourself." His voice dropped, got serious. "This vendetta is pathetic. You accused your own father of a crime, and when no one believed you, you doubled down. That's not integrity, sweetheart. That's delusion." The room was silent. The college student was staring at her phone. The man in the suit looked away. Something hardened in my chest, not anger. Anger would have made me yell. This was colder, clearer. "I need you to leave," I said. "I'm your father. And this is my workplace. Leave, or I'll call the police." His smile finally cracked. "You'd do that, wouldn't you? Call the cops on your own dad. You've always been dramatic, Stella, always looking for attention." "Goodbye, Dad." He left. The door chimed behind him. No one in the waiting room looked at me. The college student kept scrolling. The elderly women whispered to each other. The man in the suit checked his watch. I sat there, hands still shaking, and processed the next insurance claim. At lunch, Dr. Chen called me into her office. "You okay?" "I'm fine." "That was your father?" "Yes." She nodded slowly. "When I was 26, my brother stole $15,000 from our mother's estate, blamed me for it. Half the family still doesn't talk to me." She handed me a bottle of water. "People believe the liar because the truth is uncomfortable. Doesn't make the liar right." I took the water. My hands were still shaking. "Thank you. Take the afternoon off if you need to." "I'd rather work." She smiled. "That's why I hired you." That night, I sat in my apartment, a studio above a bakery on Northwest 23rd Avenue that smelled like sourdough every morning, and opened my laptop. I'd been avoiding Project Atlas. The name I'd given my original investigation, the spreadsheets, the wire transfers, the shell company structure, evidence that my father had systematically stolen from his best friend for a decade. I'd given copies to Gerald. He'd fired my father but decided not to press charges. James and I go back 30 years, he'd said. I can't do that to him. But I hadn't deleted my copies. I pulled up the files, started a new folder. If my father was going to destroy my reputation, I was going to document every lie he told, not for revenge, for survival. Because people like my father don't stop, they escalate. 3 weeks later, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Stella Frost? A man's voice, older, formal. Yes? My name is Richard Garrison. I'm an attorney with Garrison and Webb. I represent Gerald Marsh. My heart sank. Is Gerald okay? He's fine. He asked me to contact you. He'd like to meet. Are you available tomorrow at 2 p.m.? I met Gerald at a coffee shop on Belmont Street. He was waiting at a corner table, 2 cups already ordered. He looked older than he had 6 months ago, thinner. Thank you for coming, he said. Of course. Is everything okay? He slid an envelope across the table. I want you to have this. What is it? Open it. Inside was a check for $50,000, made out to me. I stared at it. Gerald, I can't. It's not a gift. It's what you're owed. When your father stole from the company, he stole from both of us. You lost your job, your reputation, your career. This doesn't fix it, but it helps. Tears burned behind my eyes. You don't have to do this. I want to. You did the right thing, Stella. You told the truth when it cost you everything. That's rare. He reached across and squeezed my hand, the way he had 9 months ago in his office. Your father's wrong about you. You're not difficult. You're not ungrateful. You're honest. Don't ever apologize for that. I deposited the check the next day, paid off my credit cards, built my savings back to $8,000, started looking for forensic accounting jobs again. And then I met Nathan. It was a Saturday in September at a farmer's market. I was buying tomatoes. He was buying peaches. We reached for the same basket. Sorry. No, you. We both laughed. He had kind eyes and a nervous smile. I'm Nathan, he said. Stella. We got coffee, then dinner, then another dinner. On our third date, I told him about my father, the fraud, the firing, the accusation that I'd lied. I waited for him to pull away. Instead, he said, "That must have been awful. I'm sorry you went through that. You believe me?" Why wouldn't I? I could have kissed him right there. 6 months later, he proposed. We set the date for March, rented the Whitfield, an upscale event venue with vaulted ceilings and crystal chandeliers. Invited 60 people. I didn't invite my parents. I hadn't spoken to them in 2 years. Nathan's mother asked about it, gently. Will your parents be there? No. I'm sorry, that must be hard. It is. But some boundaries are necessary. She hugged me. You're right. 2 weeks before the engagement party, my father called. I'd changed my number twice, but he always found me. This time I answered. Stella, it's Dad. I know. Your mother told me about the engagement. Congratulations. Silence. We'd like to come to the party, he said. No. Stella, I'm your father. I should be there. You humiliated me in public. You lied about me for 2 years. You stole $750,000 from your best friend. I didn't steal. Yes, you did. I saw the wire transfers. I traced the shell companies. You created Atlas Holdings to funnel money out of Upton and Marsh for 10 years. You bought a lake house, a boat, a country club membership. You lived a life you didn't earn with money you didn't have a right to. His voice went cold. Careful, Stella. Or what? You'll tell more lies? Go ahead. I'm done caring what people think. You'll regret this. I already regret ever believing you were a good man. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but I felt lighter than I had in years. Nathan found me sitting on the couch, staring at my phone. You okay? I told my father not to come to the party. He sat down next to me. How do you feel? Scared? Relieved? I don't know. Do you think he'll show up anyway? I don't know that either. 2 weeks later, at 7 p.m., Nathan and I stood in the Whitfield greeting guests. The room was beautiful. White tablecloths, gold chairs, flower arrangements with white roses and eucalyptus. 60 people. His family, our friends, his colleagues. At 7:32 p.m., the door opened. My father walked in, my mother beside him, both dressed like they'd been invited. Nathan's hand tightened on mine. Want me to ask them to leave? No, let him show everyone who he is. My father worked the room like he always does, shaking hands, making jokes, playing the proud father. People who didn't know better smiled and chatted. People who did looked uncomfortable. At 7:47 p.m., he tapped his champagne glass. If I could have everyone's attention, he called out. The room quieted. I know I wasn't technically invited tonight. Laughter from people who thought he was joking. But I couldn't miss my daughter's engagement party. Nathan's mother looked stricken. Dr. Chen, who I'd invited, was watching my father like he was a wasp. Stella and I have had our differences, my father continued. She's always been headstrong, independent. Sometimes too independent, if you know what I mean. More uncomfortable laughter. But tonight, I'm happy to see her settling down. Nathan's a good man, patient, forgiving. My face burned. I knew what was coming. So tonight, I want to toast to Stella, who finally found a man desperate enough. The room went silent. Nathan stepped forward. Mr. Frost, I'm not finished. My father's smile didn't waver. My daughter, the forensic accountant, accused my business partner of fraud a few years back. Tried to destroy a 30-year friendship over a bookkeeping error. But Nathan here doesn't care about that. He's willing to overlook her flaws. 60 people stared, some at my father, some at me. I took a breath, then another, and I pulled the envelope from my purse. You're right, I said. My voice was steady, loud enough for everyone to hear. I did accuse Gerald Marsh, not of fraud, of being the victim of fraud. You were the one stealing. My father's smile tightened. Stella. For 10 years, you embezzled money from Upton and Marsh Construction through a shell company called Atlas Holdings LLC. $6,141.67 every month. $737,000 total. You used it to buy a lake house, a boat, and a country club membership you couldn't afford. Gasps, whispers. My mother's face went white. That's a lie, my father said. His voice was sharp now, the showman mask slipping. Everyone here knows it's a lie. Gerald and I settled this years ago. You're right. He did settle it by firing you. I opened the envelope, pulled out the letter Gerald had given me 3 days ago. This is from Gerald Marsh, written 2 weeks ago. He asked me to read it if you ever tried this again. My father's face changed. You don't have... I started reading. To whom it may concern, my name is Gerald Marsh, co-founder of Upton and Marsh Construction, LLC. 3 years ago, Stella Frost discovered that my business partner, James Frost, had been systematically embezzling funds from our company for over a decade. She brought this to my attention with complete documentation, wire transfers, shell company structures, and personal account deposits. I verified everything she found. It was accurate. James Frost stole $737,000 from our company. I chose not to press criminal charges out of respect for our long friendship, but I did terminate his partnership and remove him from all company operations. Stella Frost acted with complete integrity and professionalism. She is the most honest person I've ever known. She saved our company. Any claim that she lied or acted maliciously is false. Signed, Gerald Marsh. Silence. My father's face was red. He's an old man. He doesn't know. He's 74 and sharper than you've ever been. I pulled out the next document. This is the wire transfer log from Upton and Marsh. Every payment to Atlas Holdings for 10 years. The dates match the deposits to your personal account. The one you thought no one could trace. Nathan's father stood up. He's a retired CPA. May I see that? I handed it to him. He studied it for 30 seconds, looked at my father. These are real. My father's lawyer, because of course he'd brought his lawyer, stepped forward. This is inappropriate. You're ambushing. I'm telling the truth. I looked at the 60 people staring at us. 3 years ago, I found evidence that my father was stealing from his best friend. I reported it, and he spent 3 years telling everyone I was a liar, that I was bitter, jealous, difficult. He showed up at my workplace to humiliate me. He called me delusional in front of strangers. He destroyed my reputation so thoroughly that I couldn't get a job in my own industry. I looked at my father. He wasn't smiling anymore. I didn't come here for revenge, I said. I came here to celebrate my engagement. You're the one who showed up uninvited. You're the one who gave a toast designed to humiliate me one more time. So now everyone knows I didn't lie. I never lied. You did. My mother stood up, shaking. James, tell them it's not true. He didn't answer. James, her voice cracked. Tell them. It was complicated, he said finally. The company owed me. You stole. My mother's voice was barely a whisper. You stole from Gerald, from your best friend, and you let everyone think Stella was the liar. I built that company. You destroyed it. She looked at me. I'm so sorry. Stella, I'm so sorry. I didn't know what to say. 3 years of silence. 3 years of believing my father's version. Nathan's mother stood up, then Dr. Chen, then Nathan's father, then Nathan's college roommate. One by one, people stood. Not dramatically, not performatively, just standing, showing whose side they were on. My father looked around the room, at the 60 people who'd heard everything, at his wife, who was crying, at his lawyer who was quietly gathering his things. This is ridiculous, my father said, but his voice shook. You should leave, Nathan said quietly, before I call the police. My father left, didn't say goodbye, didn't apologize, just walked out, his lawyer following. My mother stayed. She sat at a table near the back and cried into her hands. Dr. Chen sat with her. The party didn't recover. How could it? People made polite excuses, left early, hugged me on the way out. I'm so sorry. You were so brave. I had no idea. By 9 p.m., only Nathan's immediate family and Dr. Chen remained. Nathan's mother hugged me. I'm proud of you. That took courage. I didn't want to do it, I said. I just wanted him to stop. He won't stop, Dr. Chen said. Men like him don't. But now everyone knows the truth. That's not nothing. The next morning, my phone rang. Gerald. I heard about last night, he said. Are you okay? How did you hear? Your father called me at 6 a.m., screaming about how you humiliated him. I laughed, couldn't help it. What did you say? I told him I wrote that letter 3 years ago. I've been waiting for the right time to give it to you. Last week, when you told me about the engagement party, I knew. He paused. I'm proud of you, Stella. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I'm proud. Thank you for everything. You saved my company. This is the least I could do. That afternoon, flowers arrived. 24 white roses. The card said, To the most honest person I've ever known. Gerald. I put them on my kitchen table, sat there looking at them, cried for 20 minutes straight. Not sad crying, relief crying. 3 years of carrying the truth alone. 3 years of being called a liar. 3 years of waiting for someone to believe me. And now they did. 6 months later, Nathan and I got married. Small ceremony. 20 people. My mother came. My father didn't. She apologized. Really apologized. I should have believed you. I should have protected you. I was scared of losing him, and I lost you instead. You didn't lose me, I said. But I can't have him in my life, not unless he admits what he did and makes it right. He won't. You know he won't. I know, she cried. I don't know how to leave him. I can't make that choice for you, Mom, but I can't pretend everything's fine either. We're working on it. Therapy, slow conversations, boundaries that feel strange but necessary. Gerald walked me down the aisle. He's 77 now, moving slower but steady. I wish Margaret could see this, he whispered. She would have loved you. I wish I could have met her. She did, once. You were 8 years old. Your father brought you to a company picnic. You told her you wanted to be a detective when you grew up. I laughed. Close enough. She said, that one's going to change the world. I think she was right. My father sent a card. No return address. Inside it said, congratulations. I hope you're happy. No apology. No acknowledgement. Just nothing. I threw it away. Last month I got my old career back. A firm in the city hired me as a senior forensic accountant. They'd heard about the Upton and Marsh case, not my father's version. The real version. We need people who do the right thing even when it costs them, the hiring manager said. That's rare. I start next week. This morning, I visited Gerald at his office. He's semi-retired now, training his successor. The photo of Margaret is still on the desk. So is the picture of him and my father from 1998. Why do you keep that? I asked. He looked at it. Because it reminds me what we built, and what can be destroyed when someone chooses greed over integrity. He smiled. Also, it reminds me that you exist. You're proof that good people come from bad situations. I hugged him. Thank you for believing me. Thank you for being worth believing in. If you're watching this and you've ever had to choose between staying silent and telling a truth that would cost you everything, type, I told the truth in the comments. Or if you stayed silent to protect yourself and you're still carrying that weight, type, I'm still deciding. Both are valid. Both are human. The lesson I learned isn't pretty. Sometimes the people who are supposed to protect you are the ones you need protection from. And speaking up doesn't guarantee justice. It doesn't guarantee anyone will believe you, but staying silent guarantees you lose yourself. I didn't win because I exposed my father. I won because I stopped letting his lies define me. If this story meant something to you, check the description for more stories just like this one. Thank you for being here. I'm sitting in my new apartment now, a one-bedroom with big windows that overlook a park. It's 9:23 a.m. The sun's coming through the glass, warm on my face. In 4 days, I start my new job. In 6 months, Nathan and I are going to Costa Rica for our honeymoon. On my desk is the photo Gerald gave me last week, me at 8 years old at that company picnic, holding a magnifying glass I'd brought to investigate the ants on the ground. Margaret is in the background, smiling. I look at that photo every morning. That little girl who wanted to be a detective, who believed the truth mattered. She was right.